Welcome to The Explainer. Right, today we're completely tearing down the illusion of luck and diving headfirst into a highly structured, totally data-driven approach to sports betting. We're unpacking the bet formula, which is this fascinating strategy that claims to completely shift your mindset from, casual gambling to systematic trading. If you've ever wondered how the actual professional syndicates approach the game, well, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to break down the exact math, the tactics, and the psychology they use to systematically target profits.
98.6%. Just let that sink in for a second. According to the source material we're looking at today, this is a verified strike rate achieved over 361 bets using their specific over 1.5 goals system. Literally, out of 361 trades, 356 were winners. Now, most casual viewers see a number like that and think, no way, that's completely impossible. But today, we're going to look strictly at the underlying mechanics and discover exactly how this is mathematically possible when you take emotion completely out of the equation.
But hey, before we look at the winning formula, we have to address the giant elephant in the room. Why do bookies always win? The source material makes a really fascinating argument here. You see, bookmakers don't necessarily win because they're football experts. They thrive because the average person bets randomly. They make impulsive, last-minute decisions, they furiously chase their losses, and they just completely lack the discipline of a structured system. The bookies literally bank on human emotion.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sharp psychological divide. On the left, we've got what the sources call the mug punter. This is the person who relies on gut feelings, throws money at massive, totally unrealistic accumulators, and absolutely panics after a single loss. But on the right, we have the pro trader. This person uses a data-driven system, sticks to flat stakes, relies purely on math, and completely embraces the natural variance of the game. It is a total psychological divide.
To truly grasp that professional trader's mindset, we need to quickly define a critical piece of jargon: strike rate. Your strike rate is simply the percentage of bets you win over a specific period. It is absolutely crucial. It's the core metric for evaluating long-term profitability. Now, a high strike rate at terrible odds, you're still going to lose money. But when you pair it with carefully calculated odds, it becomes the invisible engine of profit. Section 1. The math behind winning. How short odds create long-term profit.
So, the actual secret to beating the bookies is hitting small, consistent odds. You really have to forget the Hollywood idea of betting $1 to win 1,000. Professional trading is all about grinding out calculated, long-term profit. And the math breaks down like this. Let's say you place 20 bets and win 17 of them. That's an 85% strike rate. If you do that at very short odds of just 1.2, you generate 3.4 units of return on your winning stakes. Even when you subtract the 3 units you lost on the 3 losing bets, you're still left with a guaranteed net profit of 0.4 units. It's definitely not glamorous, but mathematically, you just cannot lose money over the long term with these numbers. And when you apply that seemingly small math at scale, the results are honestly staggering. The source data highlights a trader who generated £28,900 in pure profit in just 6 months. How on earth did they do that? Simply by sticking rigidly to the system and using flat 100-pound stakes on high-probability trades. It completely proves that short odds math, when you execute it with absolute consistency and a high strike rate, works remarkably well over time.
Section 2. Pre-match multi-bet strategy. The 4-selection playbook.
So, how do they actually pick these trades? Well, before we look at the specific pre-match setups targeting over 2.5 goals, let's just clarify the terminology really quick. A multi-bet, which you might know as an accumulator or a parlay, is a single bet that links together multiple individual wagers. For the multi-bet to pay out, every single selection within it has to win. If even one team lets you down, boom, the entire bet is lost. It inherently increases your risk, right? But the bet formula strategy uses it in a very specific way to optimize reward.
Okay, let's dive into this execution because the playbook is incredibly strict here. You pick exactly 4 selections. No more, no less. 3 doesn't really offer enough reward, and 5 spikes your risk of a single failure way too much. So you target games likely to see over 2.5 goals, link them into a multi-bet, and then strictly flat stake just 2% of your total bankroll.
The true beauty of combining 4 carefully researched selections is this exponential increase in odds. The source material shows examples of hitting combined odds as high as 12.54. Think about what that actually means. When you land a win at those odds, it covers a massive amount of variance. The strategy points out that it would take 11 to 14 consecutive loss multi-bets for the bookmaker to just win their money back from you. Just one big, calculated win protects your bankroll for days, sometimes even weeks.
Section 3. In-play second-half trading, finding value in the final 45 minutes.
Now this right here is where traders can achieve those incredible strike rates, sometimes up to 96% in a single day, by leveraging live data. Instead of betting early, you use the 15-minute halftime break to hunt for games primed for a second-half goal. You wait patiently for the second half to start, let the odds drift up to 1.25, place a 2% stake, and then you drop another 2% if the odds eventually reach 1.5.
So, what exactly are you looking for during that halftime break? Don't worry, it doesn't take a supercomputer. It honestly takes about 60 seconds if you know what to check. First, you avoid historically boring 0-0 matchups if the teams are notoriously low-scoring. You quickly check the head-to-head goal history and the specific home and away scoring records. And crucially, you ask, is the pre-match favorite currently losing? Because if a heavy favorite is down, they are going to push hard, and that opens up the game and massively increases the chances of a late goal.
Now, to execute this live without completely losing your mind, the sources recommend a brilliant efficiency tip, the 60th minute rule. Because odds rarely reach that profitable 1.5 mark until about the 60th to 65th minute, there is zero need to sit there staring at the screen. Wait 15 minutes into the second half before you even check your app. If a goal went in early, you simply move on. If not, your odds are ready to go. It saves literally hours of screen time and completely prevents that emotional impulse betting.
Section 4. Bankroll and staking rules. The invisible engine of profitable trading.
Let's be honest, this might be the absolute most critical part of the whole system. The greatest research in the world literally means nothing without strict financial discipline. Staking is the true profit engine, and here are your non-negotiables. Never, ever stake more than 5% of your total bankroll on a single match. Always flat stake consistently. So if your unit is 10 pounds, it's always 10 pounds. If you want to reduce stress, use a highly conservative 2.5% total stake. And finally, you absolutely must assess your worst losing run to determine your actual tolerance for volatility. And this brilliantly illustrates how safe this conservative approach really is. By allocating just 2% at 1.25 odds and another 2% at 1.5, you are leaving a massive 96% of your bankroll completely untouched and reserved in your account. You're taking very calculated, protected risks, not just swinging blindly for the fences.
Section 5. The winning mindset. Eliminating emotion from the equation. You know, the primary reason amateurs fail isn't actually bad luck, it's panic. The system works, but human emotion breaks it. You really have to understand that volatility is completely normal. The source material shares a highly revealing example where a brief run of bad variance resulted in a £150 loss over a few days. Now, the mug punter would panic and immediately double their stakes to try and win it back. But the pro trader? They stuck to the exact same flat staking system, calmly rode out the variance, and ended the week with £720 in pure profit. Panic is for sure the ultimate account killer.
I want to read this powerful quote directly from the source material because it really cements the whole philosophy. It says, without the correct staking strategy, even with a good system or way of picking winners, you will lose money and potentially bust your bank before you've got started. Consistency and patience are the absolute cornerstones of this approach. Which leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question based on the bet formula material. Look at your own habits, your own discipline, and your own mindset right now, and ask yourself honestly, are you betting to gamble for an emotional thrill, or are you betting to trade for calculated profit? The data suggests the choice is entirely up to you. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this breakdown gave you a fresh perspective on the hidden mechanics of systematic trading.